it was all like bubbles and fun up until the injections arrived, and I was like, what the? Can I curse on here? Okay, cool.
For the record, I told her that she could curse on here, but then she chose not to. Hi everyone, and welcome to our very first episode of the new year, and the first episode of season 8 of This is Infertility. 8 years. Wow. I'm very excited for this new season, and I think we're going to be getting off to a really great start here today. Today, we're going to get to know Ashley Chukwu. Ashley chose to freeze her eggs to preserve her fertility, and she's going to share that experience with us here today. So while I think all of our episodes are good for everyone to listen to and to watch on YouTube, I do think the episode will be especially impactful for anyone thinking of freezing their eggs. So if you're considering it, well, this should be a great one for you. And if you know a friend who is thinking of fertility preservation via egg freezing, well, this episode might be worth a share. I'm Dan Bolger with Progyny, and this is season 8 of This is Infertility.
Hello, I'm Ashley Chukwu. I'm a General Program Management Lead Associate with a government consultant agency.
Ashley also has a side activity that she does, and I'm kind of jealous.
I have a food and wine blog that I post about pretty regularly on like Instagram and TikTok.
Naturally, we spent the next 15 minutes talking about food and wine. So I asked her how she got started.
COVID. We were all in the house and I was cooking and drinking wine, and I would like post it on my stories, and people would ask questions about wine or what I was cooking. I was like, okay, maybe I should start a blog, and I did. So we had a lot of free time on our hands. You can check out my blog, chewingwithchew.com, or you can follow me on social media, Chewing with Chew, on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you normally social media at. You can find me there.
Yes, go check her out if you're really here for the food and wine, but we should probably get back to egg freezing. There are many ways that people first hear about egg freezing. Maybe it's in a movie. Maybe it's a friend doing it. Well, Ashley had a different source of information.
My mom called me one day, I think I was like 28, and she was like, one of the Kardashians froze their eggs, you should do it. And normally the things that my mom says is like kind of off the wall crazy, but I was like, okay, that's actually a good idea. So that was like what initially got me thinking about egg freezing. And then when I took a deeper dive at like some of the benefits that my job offered, honestly, I just thought that some of like my insurance coverage would kind of take care of some of it. But then I noticed that we have Progyny, and I kind of did a deeper dive into that. And I was like, hey, this could actually work.
Yes, Ashley's employer has their employees covered for fertility preservation through Progyny. This not only significantly helps with the financial cost of the egg freezing process and storage, it also helps make the entire process significantly more seamless. And that's actually a big deal, especially considering that Ashley, at that point of time, didn't really know much about egg freezing.
I knew literally nothing. I just knew that if I froze my eggs would be just as good as the age that I froze them at. And I knew that within like the next year or two, I did not plan on having any children, but I knew that I wanted children in the future.
So she had a lot to learn, but the part she already understood, she had nailed. When someone freezes their eggs, the eggs that are frozen remain the same age and therefore keep their current quality over time. These eggs can then be thawed later, fertilized, and used in an IVF cycle down the road if needed. And the last part is important. There is nothing saying that you have to use these eggs down the road.
It was just kind of like a backup plan, and it's still going to be a backup plan. Even if I happen to have like a natural pregnancy the first time, I still want to keep them just in case. Like maybe that second one, I want to do surrogacy or whatever. It's my kind of like my forever backup plan just in case.
Yep, the eggs will be there if you need them as a backup plan down the road. Egg freezing entails taking fertility medications to stimulate the ovaries to produce multiple eggs, retrieving those eggs, then freezing them using a process called vitrification. And while you are stimulating the ovaries to get as many eggs as possible, it's important to know that this doesn't mean you'll have fewer eggs after this procedure remaining than you would have had otherwise. Each month, the ovaries select a number of eggs. Then one of them matures, while the rest are shed or discarded. So, in effect, when freezing your eggs, you're really just saving the eggs that would have otherwise been discarded or shed naturally during regular menstrual cycle. And if all of that seems like a lot, it kind of is. I work at Progyny, and I guess because I'm in this space, I know a disproportionate amount of people who have frozen their eggs. And while most of them would tell you that it's really not all that difficult, there is no denying that it can be intimidating to get started. So we asked Ashley how she got started.
My first step was calling Progyny just to make sure that I actually did have the benefit. And I had the opportunity to speak with, it wasn't my PCA yet because I don't think I was even registered. And even before I registered, they gave me so much information. Even before I was even officially a member, they were super helpful. So after I got registered and I had my PCA, kind of had like a chat with her, even like through the app. And from there, I was like, okay, so how do I find a doctor? And they gave me a list of like doctors that were local to me. And I did my research on all of the providers. And I found one that I just felt like, I don't know, based off her bio, I was like, this is the person. So I scheduled my first appointment, kind of get nervous and can't believe I actually was going to do it. And then I would listen like to the podcast. Like when I was at the gym, I think I remember one. It was this woman, I think she worked for like a magazine or something. And she was telling about her. So I was like, that's really cool. And she said that she shared her experience on social media too. So then I was like, I think I can do that. And then the day came where I had like a telemedicine visit with my doctor that was going to assist me throughout the journey. And she was so nice. And we just kind of clicked. And I was like, this is it. I'm going to do it. So I think it was all like bubbles and fun up until the injections arrived. And I was like, what the? Can I curse on here? Okay, cool.
Yes, the injections. Probably the part of the process that people worry about the most. Full disclosure, I have never been through anything like this personally, so I can't really weigh in. But as I said, a lot of people have told me that the injections ended up not being quite as bad as they anticipated. That being said, I think Ashley puts it perfectly next, where she says that it's a commitment.
It's definitely a commitment, especially the injection parts, because before then, it's like you have monitoring, you're getting blood work. That is low commitment. You have to go, you have to show up, but it's okay. And then you wear a patch for a few days. That's also not that bad, just stick it on, move on with your life. The injections, you are actually mixing some of the injections yourself. And in the morning, I had Miniper. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So I have to take it like in a 3-hour span. So that means first thing in the morning, I'm in my kitchen mixing ingredients like a chemist. Like I have to like make sure I do this correctly. I'm still kind of sleepy. I haven't had my coffee. And then you give yourself an injection, and you're giving yourself an injections, or I gave myself injections twice to like 3 times per day. And it kind of hurts. But what I found very helpful was I would ice it. I would ice my injection area, and then I would clean it, and then I would give myself the injection, which helped tremendously. And the needles are super thin. They're super tiny. It's literally a mind over matter. But after like day 2, you're kind of like a pro at it. But I will say, when I shared it on TikTok, someone told me they use like numbing cream, and they said that helped. I wish I would have knew that. That might have been helpful for me too. But yeah, it's a commitment because it's not only are you like a time commitment, and you have to like, there's tight time constraints for a lot of the things that you're doing with this, like the injections and the trigger shot and the procedure. But then also your body kind of changes. And I wasn't hormonal, which is good, but I was just like, I am so bloated. And then I love wine. I'm a wine blogger. So towards the end, I was really bloated, where I felt like I couldn't even drink wine. I was like, and I couldn't drink wine. My doctor told me I couldn't. So that kind of sucked. But other than that, it's so rewarding. Like, I'm happy that I did it. I'm happy that it's done. I'm happy that I have that peace of mind. And dedicating a few weeks and like slightly changing my schedule for a few weeks, I think it's absolutely worth it to have that reassurance and peace of mind that I can live my life and use my eggs when I'm ready.
The injections go hand in hand with monitoring, which usually requires people to go to their doctor, typically early in the morning, every other day or so, for a quick check-in to make sure everything is progressing.
I think the toughest part about it was I'm still working. So it's like finding time to like block off my schedule to drive to the city, because my doctor's was like 30 minutes away. The good thing is my visits were like in and out. It was like, clockwork. I go in, I get some blood, I get an ultrasound, and I'm out. It was like less than 30 minutes. I was actually in the office, but the monitoring part was like, it kind of sucked because you have to go every other day and like kind of disrupt your normal routine. But it was exciting to know that my follicles were growing and just be like, okay, they're almost at that like 10 millimeter mark. They're almost, at the point where they can like actually be even considered for being retrieved. So that was really helpful and that was really exciting.
When the doctor determines the ovaries are ready, then it's time for the egg retrieval, which is, as you might have guessed, the procedure where your doctor will use a speculum to retrieve the eggs.
Then the day came where the surgery, like the procedure is going to happen. And like before then, I was like, I'm so ready to just get these eggs out. Like when you're on an injection, you feel very like bloated and just like uncomfortable. It was a lot of discomfort. And I was just like, I just want to get these eggs out. So when they called me, like, you can go ahead and take your trigger shot and we'll see you in a day or so, like in 35 hours, I was like ecstatic. Then I was like in the procedure room and I was kind of freaking out, like, what am I doing? I was like, I can't believe this is happening. But it was great after that. They took the eggs. I didn't really have any expectations about how many eggs I wanted frozen or retrieved. But I was just happy that I got it done. And my doctor told me no matter how many are frozen, it's better than the 0 that you started with.
Ashley shared that she's happy with the number of eggs that were retrieved and frozen. And so we asked the big question. Now that she's frozen her eggs, how does she feel about her decision?
I feel like I don't have to worry about like my biological clock. When I started the process, like, because I thought about it like when I was 28 and I kind of reached out when I turned 29, but I didn't actually freeze my eggs until I was 30 because it was a long process of finding the doctor and all that fun stuff. So like when I first started the process, I was dating someone, but I didn't know how serious it was going to be. And then we ended up breaking up before I even started to freeze my eggs. So that was like a reassuring moment for me. Like, this is definitely what you need to do. You can't wait for like the perfect person and you don't want to settle for someone. So now it's like peace of mind. I love traveling. I have my blog. Like, I'm very busy and I don't have to think about that anymore. It's like once I'm ready and I have a partner that I feel like, hey, this person I want to spend my life with, okay, then I'll take the eggs off ice. But I don't feel like I'm being rushed to have a kid or anything like that.
Earlier we shared that Ashley has a wine and food blog and a strong presence on social media as well. And, well, she decided to leverage that platform and use it to help her share her experiences with others.
And I honestly just wanted to be candid. So I work in public health and I have a master's in public health, program management, maternal and child health. It's a long title, but I love women and children's health. So I wanted to spread awareness about egg freezing. I didn't know anyone in like my age range, my demographic. Like, I didn't know any Black women at this age that were freezing their eggs. So I wanted to share it with the world. And I got some good feedback. So that was good. But I just wanted to let people know that it's possible, it's doable, and we Black women can do it as well.
Ashley found that when she spoke out about it, the comments and feedback she got was overwhelmingly positive. And it wasn't just fans of her social content who reached out to her.
A woman that I work with, she like private messaged me on TikTok, was like, oh my gosh, I literally just went through the same process last month. Let me know if you need any help with anything. And I was like, we would have never talked about that, especially when you're at work. Like, it doesn't come up, especially like in a virtual world. So it was really exciting to see that people that I actually end up knowing went through that process. And then also I was helping women who were considering going on that process.
Yes, Ashley went on to be a bit of an ambassador for egg freezing at her place of work. And that goes to show that when employers choose to offer benefits like this one, they really are making a strong statement about women's health and their employees' well-being.
It has made me love my current company a lot more. I cannot envision going to like a different company because I'm afraid that this benefit would not be offered. There are other things I want to do in the future that I would love Progyny's assistance with, so I don't want to leave. But I feel like it's been super helpful with my journey. And I feel like I can focus more on working and just being an individual person without having to think about the ticking time clock that is my biological clock. It's given me a peace of mind. And they've just been super helpful. I don't know what I would do or how I would afford or be in a position to freeze my eggs if it wasn't for Progyny. And then I've also started to talk about Progyny amongst my other coworkers that didn't know that we had this benefit available. So I really just feel like it makes my company stand out, and it is a perk that I absolutely love. It's a great benefit. Never get rid of it.
When we started this podcast in 2017, egg freezing for fertility preservation was seen in the media and pop culture as a bit of a luxury, and maybe even something kind of trendy. And one of the things that we're thrilled to see is that over the years, this conversation has changed quite a lot. Egg freezing isn't just something for Kardashians and other celebrities these days. Fertility preservation is an option for anyone who needs it. And when employers choose to offer comprehensive coverage for it, well, that's when it really becomes accessible to everyone. But none of that is possible if we don't talk about it. So I want to give Ashley a huge shout out and thank you for sharing her story. First for sharing it on her own social media platform, and then for sharing it with us on our show here today. The more we talk about fertility, family building, and women's health, the more access we'll all have to it. I want to thank you for joining us today. If you want to connect with us, you can do so on Instagram at This Is Infertility Podcast. If you want to follow Progyny, you can do so at Progyny Inc. Of course, if you're listening on a podcast app, please leave a rating and review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. This Is Infertility is brought to you by Progyny. Please remember, this podcast is not intended to substitute for the personalized expert advice of your physician. I'm Dan Bolger, and this is Infertility.